First rodeo with Salvarada. The next power I consumed is one of the strangest and most dissociative of them all. This is the dried leaf of a silver plant called Salvarada. As you might have guessed from the name, it's a power that originates in the southern hemisphere. I first learned that Salvarada was a power one could purchase at vessel shops when one of my older friends, Rodolfo, turned 18, the legal vessel shop customer age. Salvarada came in pre-packaged shiny bags with different concentrations of the active constituent salvaradine added to the dried, now greyish-brown leaf. For example, the most mild of them all was labelled 20x, the moderate was 30x, and then it went 40 and 60. Rodolfo one day decided to buy a raspberry-flavoured 30x bag of Salvarada at the vessel shop, and so Rashid and I joined him to consume it in a town woods. Rashid is 3 years older than me, like Rodolfo, but he didn't start using green power until a year after me. This didn't mean much, though, because Rashid had a natural green state of mind, a power of its own, something that agreed well with the energetic exchange of net positive powers. Rodolfo drove the three of us to a small hill, mowed out amongst the tall grass. At the apex of the hill, there was a crab-apple tree that we sat around in a semicircle. To harvest the Salvarada gas, Rodolfo created an extraction vessel with raw materials. He was crafty with making vessels, and this particular one utilized the suction of a bottlenecked airway via the pulling of a bag, thus drawing in a flame for Salvarada ignition. So, Rodolfo went first, and we pulled ourselves parachutes of the Salvarada. Rodolfo started a silly laughter immediately after exhaling and rested on the ground, his head facing downhill. I did the same, except I wasn't laughing initially. With my head on the grass looking up at the leaves of the crab-apple tree, I saw the blue sky turn to rippling water, and the leaves of the tree turn to lily pads. With this vision, I closed my eyes and experienced a flying bird's-eye view of nighttime in a village of raised huts, somewhere in South America, I reckoned. As my consciousness flew over, I stopped and saw the glowing light of a fire coming from one hut entrance. Then, with the sound of a breathy, drawn-out exhale, I saw myself as liquid smoke exit the hut. When it seemed that my genie was fully out of its bottle, I opened my eyes and sat up to see Rashid in narrow-eyed bliss, quietly laughing against the tree as he appeared to hold an orb of white light in his hands. I rested my head back and saw Rodolfo still laying down giggling, spacing out at the tree. His background looked like anime with its peach tone and slowly flying bubbles, like a love-struck character entranced in a grandiose aside. His laughter was contagious. Eventually I sat up and checked my phone to see that the Salvarada experiment had lasted 15 minutes exactly, just like we had predicted. We were all there in one piece and were in awe of what glimpse of the great unknown we had achieved. The sorbet of the sunset took form and acted as a cue for us to return to our respective homes for dinner that September evening. The Salvarada turned out to be completely disorienting and dissociative, but we were back in our normal states of consciousness in just 15 minutes, ready to go say hi to Mum and Dad. It was amazing to me that this powerful visionary plant was out in the public, ready to be purchased by anyone who frequented vessel shops. Some people are definitely not equipped to experiment with Salvarada, and would likely find themselves in much peril upon doing so. What if someone decided to operate a motor vehicle while stoking up some Salvarada? They'd be incapacitated, off in a torrential reverie of twisted perception. To think that such a thing could be allowed to the public, but not the green power. This made me very suspicious of those who decide which powers are permissible to the public and which are not. Were we being protected or held back? I'm one of the rare ones who has enjoyed mostly positive experiences with Salvarada as a visionary power, while the majority of those who have tried tend to find it terrifying. Here's the thing. It's a bit terrifying and out of control, but not necessarily either of those things if you try your best to trust the process. Easier said than done, of course. Even though I've had mostly positive experiences, it's because I have intentionally consumed the power in safe and natural environments with intention. I have tried to connect to the spirit of Salvarada, tried to see what the deal really was, instead of projecting my own expectations. And the message seems to be that the deal could be anything. No reason why reality as you know it can't be crumbled up like a ball of paper or unzipped to reveal an infinite amount of sensory filter zippers. Salvarada does with the visual field and the motor cortex whatever it pleases. You have to be okay with a certain level of submission, a level where it can be hard to tell if you're alive or not. Salvarada is certainly not for everyone, and actually, I'd say not for most. Even though I haven't felt much of a dark side from the energy personally, I still keep my distance because of the chaotic nature. Upon consumption, there becomes a racing feeling, sort of like a heartbeat, but more like the unwinding of something inside, something involving tension. Then if you try to talk, your words often come out unintelligible and contort into the strangest of laughing fits. All the while the visual sensations become out of body, seemingly made of foreign substance, and powerfully dominant over what we call a sense of consensus reality. It's a twisted rush of experience, but it can be just as eye-opening as any other power with proper guidance. I do hope that Salvarada becomes more understood, but I'm not sure how much more I'm willing to dedicate myself to its research.